Are you looking for a secure, convenient, and easy way of making payments or receiving money? Well, if you are, today's episode is for you. With FX on app functionality from FNB Lesotho, payments or receiving money is seamless, convenient, secure, and easy. Hello, fellow trailblazers. Welcome to another episode on My Money Adventures podcast. If you're new to the channel, my name is Tukiso TK Ntebe, also known as the Finance Bachelor. On this channel, we talk everything finance, well-being, but most importantly, wealth creation. In studio today, I have a face that is not new to the channel. She is a beautiful trailblazer from FNB Lesotho who happens to also be an app sponsor of today's episode. So, Menta, welcome to My Money Adventures podcast.
Thank you.
It is no secret that the financial services industry is changing at a very rapid pace. You know, we move from signing bank checks to electronic funds transfer to mobile payments, digital payments at a click of a button using our handheld devices. So let's talk a bit about, in fact, before we even get to that, let's start with introductions for people who don't know you. Yes, you may not be new to the Trailblazers, but for people who don't know you, tell us a bit about who you are.
Okay. Ntabile Nkwadi. I look after the FNB Lesotho retail business. That is the personal banking.
Personal banking.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask you a different question from the last time you were here. If your bank statements could talk, what would they say about you?
Thank you. I can finally trust you.
Wait, that's the response. Thank you. I can finally trust you.
I can finally trust you.
Okay, so what has changed?
I think looking back in terms of the engagements that we have had, usually we talk of savings in terms of those times that we never expect, but never around intentional savings to say, do I really need to be using the little that I get per month, or some of the money I can actually just put it away, not necessarily for rainy days, but
saving for the sake of saving.
Yeah.
You remind me of Morgan Housel, author of The Psychology of Money, who says, save for the sake of saving, not because you're saving for a rainy day. So I like that. that. Okay, so like I mentioned, it's no secret that banking, the way we do banking, make payments, receive money, is changing. So maybe talk us through what has been happening or what is happening within the banking fraternity currently. I know we are building up to the 16th of September 2024. Maybe paint a picture for us for now, what is going on and what people should know about the changes that are happening.
Okay. So this is basically a change around, should I say, sunset of the EFTs, or the decommissioning of the EFTs, reels, and then just moving to SWIFT or global payments. So what is happening is that the CMA countries, being your South Africa, Lesotho, Eswatini, as well as Namibia, they have made a decision that when we need to do, should I say, increases in the checks and controls on the monies that are transferred between the countries, then we now need to move away from EFT and now moved to SWIFT. So with that decision, it then says that as FNB Lesotho, we need to ensure that our customers, when they receive and send money to these particular countries, they are then able to do so. So what that means, it also says from a fees perspective, there's going to be an impact on the individuals. And this does not only talk about credits, but it also talks to debits, including the debit orders, which is also an impact that the consumers are going to feel.
For the benefit of people who don't necessarily understand the jargon, how are debits and credits? What are we speaking in layman's terms?
So credit re bua ka tšhelete e leng hore ya kena, debit re bua ka tšhelete e tswang.
Okay.
Mme tšhelete e ka tswa ile hobane o e romela, tšhelete e ka tswa ka baka la di-debit order. So ga tseba hore Basotho ba bangata ba na le, I can say, a lot of policies tse leng hore di dutse South Africa. It then says hore le tsona di tlo tla di ba impacted because debit orders are run through the EFTs. So ho batho be leng hore ba kholla ke Basotho ba neng ba kholla ka account tsa bana tsa Basotho. Since the majority of them, their HR offices have indicated that they need to open South African-based accounts. So it says all about that they're going to have that impact, because now to send money into Lesotho, it then says HR cannot run payroll through SWIFT because it has to be per transaction. So for their convenience, hence the account of South Africa. So okay, South Africa, what does this then mean for the livelihood of my family at home. A lot of Basotho's livelihood actually depends on remittances. We have bontate ba rona ba di mining. We also have some family members working not necessarily in the mining industry in SA, kapa in Namibia or Eswatini, but that remit their funds home. So that then says they need to remain with their accounts in Lesotho, such that when they send money from wherever they are based in the CMA into Lesotho, bana ba haile bona ba ifumane. But now, in them sending this money to Lesotho, as an FNB client, we are working tirelessly to ensure that we contain the client experience. As you know, that to move these funds into Lesotho from FNB to FNB, it's an immediate transaction currently. But that is since going to change. It's going to take time. But in it taking time, we are intentional to ensure that values below 25,000, we take at most around, is it 3 to 4 hours? So this is the worst case scenario. But what we are working on, it should be as short as possible. So then for payments which are now going to be above 25,000, above 100,000, which are going to take a day to then reflect.
Right. I think a lot of people think that this is a uniquely FNB thing. Is that the case, Kapo? What is driving these changes?
This is a decision which has been made by the regulators as a CMA, which is the regulators of banking in Lesotho, Namibia, Eswatini, and South Africa. So every bank is going to be impacted. And you will also realize, not just banks in Lesotho, but banks in the 4 countries that I'm talking about. You will also realize, for some of Basotho already, we have policies outside of Lesotho. They are already getting messages from their specific what do you call them, insurance companies, to say open an account in SA such that your debit orders are then collected from your SA account. So this is a CMA issue. Fortunately, if I can put it like that, fortunately.
So FNB Lesotho is known for its digital solutions, its innovation, its technology, you know. As you're talking now about all the changes that are coming, you recently launched FX on App. I know in the second half of the conversation, I'll speak to your colleague about FX on App. But tell us a bit about, at a very high level now, what is FX on App and what can Basotho be excited about from this new functionality?
All right. So FX on App, FX currently on our online banking or internet banking, if I can put it like that. FX, not Forex, right? Forex trading. So with this FX, then we understand for every Mosotho, they've got, almost everyone, a phone in the palm of their hands. So why not take it to then the FNB app? So when you go to the FNB app, icon Forex. So that Forex is actually our foreign exchange transactions platform. So that is where you then go in or initiate a transaction. It's quite easy, not as complicated as people make it sound. In terms of how we are currently doing payments, you would have the recipient's account number and name, and then the branch or banking details. But now with that additional information in terms of the increased controls, as I'm saying, the addresses is more to, but we have made it such that your time to complete a transaction is less than 2 minutes. Or even 2 minutes is actually an extended time as you get to familiarize yourself. But within a minute, you should be done with that transaction.
Oh, wow. Easy. Very convenient and secure. So then just to wrap up the conversation is, as the head of retail banking at FNB Lesotho, what are you saying to people who are watching? What are you saying to trailblazers who are watching this particular episode and are not banking with FNB?
So, not banking with FNB. Let me start with those banking with FNB. So for those banking with FNB, I just want to allay their fears, right? FNB Lesotho, we are going to do what is necessary to ensure, in terms of their experience when they send money to South Africa, we try by all means not to have it as worse off as it should. And that is why payments between FNB and FNB, how do we also contain the time for that the transactions to actually reflect, and also from a pricing perspective, or now how do we have those prices as reasonable as possible for them. So for those not banking with FNB, the one thing that I can tell them is switch try us and see what have we got to offer for you, especially when it comes to global payments. We know that FNB is well known in terms of simplicity as well as the easiness when you do the payments as a how. So rest assured, we're going to give you that wherever chelete ya hao e ka ba hore ha o e bone, we will ensure that you're actually receiving your money well on time and do the tracking for you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to another amazing episode on My Money Adventures podcast. This episode was proudly sponsored by FNB Lesotho, and of course, they are introducing and rolling out their new innovative solution that is secure, convenient, and most importantly, easy. So if you have not yet switched to FNB, the time to do so is now. Download the FNB app, open a bank account with them, and then get FX on app because it's easy. Very, very easy.
Very.
All right, so we will see you guys in the second conversation a bit later on. Don't forget to give this episode a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and of course, if you need more information, you can visit FNB's website, which is www.fnb.co.ls. I will see you guys on the next episode. Cheers.
Thank you.
Today's episode is proudly sponsored by FNB Lesotho. FNB Lesotho is an authorized and licensed financial services provider and has been in Lesotho for the last 20 years, providing innovative solutions to help Basotho meet their financial goals. So welcome back to the second half of the conversation, where we're going to take a deep dive into what FX on App is and how it operates. So my guest today is a beautiful, beautiful lady who looks absolutely stunning, and I love the fact that she's wearing the corporate colors as well. Hello, good afternoon.
Thank you very much. Afternoon.
Welcome to My Money Adventures podcast. So for people who don't know who you are, maybe tell us who you are and what you do within FNB Lesotho.
Thank you. My name is Madila Morosi. I'm working at FNB Lesotho as foreign exchange consultant.
So usually on this podcast, I love to ask my guests one specific question as to how it relates to their finances, right? So when you started your career many, many years ago, I'm assuming, got payday, you got your first notification in contact data, right? If you could go back to that day, what would you do differently with your money?
Interesting. I'll definitely throw up monthly budget and ensure that I prioritize the needs and make sure that I save for rainy days.
Okay.
Believe you me, and I will make sure that I live within my means, because I've realized that if you go beyond your means, really, you're going to have a tough time.
Okay, are you having a tough time now, or is it not there yet?
Not there yet, but you know, sometimes you just go a little bit beyond your means. So, yeah.
Okay. So ahead of the cross-border payment switch in September 2024, right? FNB Lesotho recently introduced its new functionality, the FX on App functionality. For people who have been following social media, the launch and all those things, FX on App, what is FX on App and how does it work?
Okay. FX on App is a new functionality on the current existing FNB Lesotho app. It means that if you need to use FX on App, you don't have to download the new app.
Okay.
Inside the existing app, there is a new functionality that FNB Lesotho has introduced. So FX on App, it enables the client or FNB Lesotho user to initiate international or cross-border payments with foreign currency and ZAR.
When you speak about ZAR, I know we look at the common monetary area, right? Which countries does that include for people who may not be aware of the common CMA countries like anything?
Okay. CMA countries, those countries say they include South Africa, Swaziland, Eswatini, and Lesotho included as well. It's within the common monetary area.
Okay. So with FX on App, from Lesotho to Eswatini, I'll then have to use FX on App
definitely you'll have to use FX on app.
Okay, and for people so a lot of people are thinking, is this only exclusive to FNB clients? Kapo have like a banker with any other bank, can I use FX on app?
You have to bank with FNB
Okay.
in order to use FX on app, meaning that you have to be an FNB client so that you can have access on FX on app. Meaning that if you're still not banking with FNB, in order to use FX on app, you have to bank with FNB.
So they need to switch. Is that what I'm
They
going to say?
need to switch.
All right. Okay. So there's always a lot of concerns around what documents are required, right? So for me as an FNB Lesotho client, do I need to provide any additional documents to use FX on app when I'm making payments?
Okay, let me just make clarity on one thing or two things. Under FX on app, we'll be having ZAR payments and foreign currency payments.
Okay.
For ZAR payments, you don't need any supporting documents to do such payment. It's more similar like an EFT while you're doing it, even though it's on app, it's FX on app. When you complete a transaction, straight away your account has been debited. But when you do a foreign currency transaction, once you are done with your transaction, even at the end it will show that your request has been submitted to the bank, because it has to go through vetting to ensure that the transaction that we are doing is still within the regulators' regulations. So for foreign currency payments, that's where we need supporting documents depending on the nature of the transaction you're doing.
Depending on the nature of the transaction. So this is, if I heard you correctly, this is where the foreign exchange controls would then come into place when I'm making a payment using FX on app to, say, for example, the US or China.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So for a lot of customers have also been asking now with FX on app functionality, if I used to do an EFT, electronic funds transfer, from here to South Africa, for example, a day or two, with FX on app functionality, what are the timelines in terms of the recipient receiving the money going forward?
Let's start with FNB to FNB.
Okay.
Once you have completed your transaction on our site, okay, inform the recipient on the other side, or I have done with the transaction. So meaning that when it goes to FNB SA, the client has to go through the same process on global receipts to receipt that money, meaning that to clear the money into their own accounts. But with other banks, the standard hours is 48 hours because we don't know about the internal processes.
Okay.
How long does it take? But with FNB, we can say still within the same day,
okay,
the recipient can get the money.
Okay. And then I love that the recipient in South Africa has to do certain things. What happens in a case where somebody sends me money from FNB South Africa to my FNB Lesotho account using FX on app?
It's going through the same process. Under FX on app, we have a functionality called global receipts. Once Omelwa shelter from SA side or from Eswatini or Namibia, those CMA countries, I feel on our site here in Lesotho, such transaction goes under your global receipts on FX on app. Then you have to log in and go to global receipts and available receipts, then clear that funds into your own account, meaning that you can receive the funds earlier than expected.
Okay, so I'm curious to find out. Suppose I get the receipt, maybe I don't log in. Is there some kind of notification in just say, hey, dude, you have money?
Yes.
If the other person does not tell you,
yes, definitely. We are always advising our clients that whenever they change their means of contacts, they should ensure that they notify the bank. Once you receive the global receipts, the system sends you an email notifying that the bank have received global receipts on your behalf. And on that email, there is an attachment with the steps on how to clear that payment.
Okay. So basically, they need to update the cell phone number, they need to update the email address.
Most importantly, the email address, because with the global receipts, the notification is sent via the email.
Okay. And for people who don't have email accounts, like it's usually the common situation in Lesotho, how do we help them?
Definitely we know that some people won't have the emails.
Okay.
On our system, when we receive the global receipts, we will see whether the account has an online or the account has an email. So we ensure that we call the client, we notify the client.
Okay.
But in a case where the client is an elderly that doesn't have the smartphone or can access the internet, we still process them manually. But it seems like it's going to take a bit while compared to someone who have done the global receipts.
Okay, all right. So, as a business person and an individual, so TK, the finance bachelor who has a FNB account in his private capacity, and then there's TK Financial Wellness that also has a business account with FNB. Is FX on App strictly for individuals, or is it also applicable to business clients?
For now, it's still only for individuals. Yes, so meaning that it's only individuals who are able to use FX on App.
Okay. And then for business owners, how do they transact ahead of the cross-border changes for the time being?
They will be using their normal online. So meaning that FX on App is not only on app. We still have it under the online as well.
Okay.
Yes.
So basically for individuals, I can take my app, my mobile device, and transact using the app.
Yes.
But for business, I can still log into my online account and still do global payments and global receipts.
Definitely.
And I'm assuming this is based off the fact that certain businesses have different people who initiate and authorize and so on and so forth.
Yes.
Fantastic. All right. So for travelers like me, as case with TK, I'm planning a trip to Namibia and all these things. How do in fact, not even Namibia, I am going to Namibia, which is exciting. But if I want to travel to the US, which I usually do because I have a visa, show off. If I want to keep track of where the rates are for exchange, can I do this on FX on App? What other functionalities are available on FX on App?
Yes, we do have the functionality of rates, which are updates daily. So meaning that on daily basis on your app, you can see the current rates where a certain currency is trading. So meaning all the time, how about the rates you just log into your app and check the rates.
So I can check the USD, I can check the pound sterling, I can check the euros,
Japanese yen.
Oh, who knows? I might just be going to Europe. All right. So as an individual, I have a lot of beneficiaries that I saved where I used to just do a quick electronic funds transfer, EFT. With FX on App, do I then can I just import my beneficiaries onto FX on App, or how do I go about that?
Unfortunately, no, because let's remember that it's a new functionality. So meaning that okay, meaning that with FX on App, you can still add beneficiaries, not export the ones that you already had, but you can add your beneficiaries because EFT and the global payments different because there is more information needed when you initiate an FX payment. So meaning we are going to need extra information like physical address of the recipient and the full names of recipient. If you remember, you can recall with an EFT, if you had correct branch code and account number, the payment would go through.
Sure.
But this time around, you have to ensure that the recipient gives you the correct information. Account yes.
So let me understand. I receive a global receipt from whoever. Do I give them those details, or what kind of physical address do I give them?
You can just give the physical address, not to mention shopo not like that, but the physical address Basotho, Maseru, Lesotho. Yes, that will be sufficient physical address.
Fantastic. So for people who aren't banking with FNB and are listening to this conversation, are very interested in FX on App, what are you saying to them? What's the call to action? What do you want them to do?
Now is the time to switch to FNB Lesotho because we are already ahead of the situation that is coming in September, where we are going to migrate from EFT to global payments. So let's switch to FNB Lesotho to ensure that the payments is secure, it's safe. Payment. We'll always be able to track the payment with global payments, FX on app.
FX on app, ladies and gentlemen, it's secure, it's convenient, but most importantly, it is easy. Easy, right? So you've been listening to My Money Adventures podcast. This show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Today's episode, like I mentioned, was sponsored by FNB Lesotho. For more information, visit FNB's website at www.fnb.co.ls. To access the FX on app, download the app and access a range of foreign exchange solutions that suit your needs. Do not forget to leave a comment below or questions that you have regarding this conversation, and of course, what your experience has been with FX on app. We want to hear all of that, and I do promise you that I will forward all the questions to FNB if I can't answer them myself. Do not forget again to give this video a thumbs up, share it with your family, friends, and sometimes frenemies, and remind them to subscribe and like this episode. Until then, we will see you on the next episode. Ladies and gentlemen, FX on app, it is easy. Signing out. Cheers.